Welcome to the Wedding Songs Podcast, featuring newly released songs you need to know and the tried and true classics. Get song ideas from the time guests arrive until the last dance of the reception. And now your host, Matt Campbell, founder of MyWeddingSongs.com.
Welcome everybody to the Wedding Songs Podcast. I am Matt Campbell. Today we have a very special guest, Ian Fox. He is based in the Buffalo area. The name of his company is Fox Pro Audio. Welcome to the show, Ian.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm honored to have you here as well. And I'm going to start off the podcast like I do every interview. Do you have a memorable wedding moment to share that you had as a DJ?
I do. I'm going to give you a couple. The first would be my own wedding. You know, it's hard not to put that at the top, right? We had a great team of vendors and friends and family and a beautiful venue. So that has to be number one for me. I think in terms of actually DJing a wedding, I have two quick examples. The first was I've had the chance to do a few weddings at the Wilderness Resort in Wisconsin Dells, which Wisconsin Dells is the water park capital of the world. So you do the event and then the next day you get tickets to the water park with your hotel room and you can explore the city and it's pretty fun. I grew up going there, so that was a cool experience. The second is I recently did a Star Wars themed wedding, which I know happens in May, probably around the world. This one was in September, but they were big Star Wars fans. So I had a lot of fun coming up with Star Wars themed announcements and cocktail and dinner for them because I like that. I like that series as well.
That's awesome. We always say May because May the 4th, but you know, Star Wars fans are Star Wars fans. So did you play Star Wars music throughout the ceremony and reception, or what happened there?
Yeah, they wanted a regular dance period. So we worked on a playlist together with that, but the cocktail and the dinner was all Star Wars. So I found some Star Wars disco, some from the soundtracks, TV shows, movies, a good mix of everything.
It's fantastic. I love that. So did they have a Star Wars themed cake as well?
They made their own cake and cookies. It was not Star Wars themed, but there are a lot of May the Force be with you and, you know, other decorations around the room.
I'm sure with lightsabers and all that too.
Yeah.
I love it. So if you could just please introduce yourself to our listeners.
So my name's Ian Fox. I've been a DJ for a while. I really like doing it because I like putting smiles on people's faces, and I feel really blessed that playing music is just a skill that kind of runs in my family. So I picked it up pretty early. You know, my parents, my cousins, my sister, my wife. I'm blessed that it's just part of who I am, and I really just enjoy being able to help people celebrate and take a technical approach to planning and collaborative approach as well, trying to find music that fits what the couples want to hear. And that's my whole game is making sure they get to hear exactly what they want and nothing they don't.
Awesome. Yeah, there's so much of that as DJs. We have to put our personal music preferences to the side that it's really their day, and I love that you put that forward. So in our pre-conversations, you were talking about how you take on 3 to 5 weddings per year. What inspired you to keep weddings in your life alongside your full-time career?
Yeah, so as a business, I acknowledge that I could do a lot more, but the experience that I present to my couples is really important to me, and that's that 3 to 5 or 4 to 6 range is where I like to stay to give them my full attention and then have time for the rest of my life as well. So performance is just part of who I am, as I already said. So I don't think I would ever give up doing this. And I always feel like that's kind of the right number. We do a lot of work in the planning stage. My full-time career is as a scientist. So I'm naturally pretty calculated, you know, not just the number of songs, but how long they run out for, you know, making sure you get all the genres you want, no matter how different they may be, things like that. So what these weddings mean to me is it's a chance, obviously, to keep my skills fresh and keep up with new music and learn from the couples as well if there's music that I'm less familiar with. It's also a chance to put in some hard work. It sounds maybe a little cheesy, but I really do it for the smiles. So It's a really good feeling at the end of the night. I know you know it as well when everyone tells you good job and everyone's really happy and you go home tired the next day, but really proud of what you've done. So that's something I've always felt no matter what kind of performance I'm doing, whether it's bands or orchestras or whatever, but it still reigns true in all the work that I do today.
So because you're a scientist, are you getting into the BPMs, making sure all that matches the tempos, how you're mixing, or does that come into it too?
Right. So I think more so the organization when it comes to playing, I kind of feel it out the room. What I like to do is, go through the playlist and also take requests. Everyone does that, but try to listen to the room more. I'm really technical on the organization. So, for example, I always make sure my cocktail hour playlists are at least an hour and a half because cocktail may run into dinner, or maybe they took photos and it's going too long. And then dinner, I always shoot for an hour and 45 minutes because, again, the catering may need a couple minutes, or maybe they need to go outside and get the cake knife or something like that. So very organized with that. And I try to be organized with my crates. There's a great DJ out of the UK. I'm going to forget his name, but he's got that music library tools, which he inspired me to help get more organized with my crates. And I try to do it on a yearly basis like a lot of other people do. And certainly with AI, things have gotten easier to organize as well. Really into the organization and making sure everything is all buttoned up and also all backed up as well, right? So I always have 2 to 3 sources ready to go.
Yeah, I think great organization is so key just because you may forget about those one or two songs in those genres, or I love exactly what you're doing, just reviewing everything before you go in, just so you're prepared. That's so important. So you mentioned that you have 3 1-hour meetings with your couples when we were talking beforehand. Or why do you dedicate so much time to that planning stage?
Yeah, that's a good question. They don't always last an hour and they don't always need 3 meetings, but in general, 3 1-hour meetings tends to work really well. It's a fourth one if you include the sales call. But the first one is really for their timeline and their desires. So most couples will come in with some idea of the artist they like, or they have a playlist ready, right? And we go through the initial sharing of that, and we really focus on how they want their day to be. Now, I'm no substitute for a wedding planner, but I can certainly help put together a timeline. The second one is all about the music. So we've gone back and forth, typically on, Spotify Tidal or Apple Music, whatever one they're using. It's easy to share back and forth. And they just say, no, I don't like this one very much, or please add these songs, just until we get it right. At that point, we're typically, a couple months out. Then I'll start working with their vendors too, make sure their vendors have the same timeline. And the third one is about a week to a month in advance. And we just go over everything again. There's sometimes changes, add or drop a speech. Maybe they don't want to do sunset photos anymore, something like that. It's all about just making sure the repetition is there for me and the repetition is there for them as well. And if you want to include it as well, sometimes I try to go to the rehearsal if it works out for them and works out for me, because then I've got Everse 8s, so the battery powered speakers, you can bring them there, you can set them up, everyone can feel good about it, because the ceremony is just as important as what you're going to play during the dance, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was just thinking about how you're doing all this planning, and no doubt 5 minutes before something changes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Or the chairs aren't right, or someone's in the bathroom, or one time the glue on somebody's sole of their shoe broke, so they had to go change shoes. It always happens.
Yeah, for sure. That's why we're MacGyvers out there. Hey, wedding DJs, let's be real. Who has the time digging through all the charts for new music and trends? It's a full-time job. That's where the Wedding MusicLetter comes in. I do the heavy lifting for you every single week. I send music trends and those must-have track recommendations that make the difference between a good night and a legendary one. Save hours of research. It's completely free to sign up. Just go to weddingmusicletter.com. Now back to the show. How do you balance the couple's must-plays with your professional experience in creating the flow?
the way I approach it is to watch the dance floor, and whether everyone's on the floor or no one's on the floor, you kind of weave in and out as you go. So I'm at the point now, and I'm sure most DJs get to this point where they can see like song A is going to go with song B, and we can kind of flow from there. One thing I like to do is if they put a lot from the same artist, is I'll try to do two songs back to back. So when you think of Bruno Mars has a lot of good wedding music, or Drake has a lot of hits, or you could do AC/DC has some more than one hit, or there's tons of bands that have more than one hit. You could do back to back songs to get them really like, oh, this is my favorite artist. Let's dance for a little while. So you just kind of weave it in and out. The events that I'm doing are typically at least 2 hours of dancing, so that gives you plenty of time to go back and forth between slipping in a couple B-sides and then going back to what they want to play and then maybe taking a request. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. That takes me to a off-ball question then. What kind of music are you commonly seeing in the Buffalo area for what people are picking for their dancing part?
I came from the Midwest, so Wisconsin and Nebraska, and I think the wedding flow is similar here in the Buffalo area. So we're seeing a lot of top 40. Obviously, in the last couple of years, a lot of TikTok songs have influenced. If couples invite kids to their weddings as well, you'll get a lot more of the TikTok requests. But I still get a lot of the classics, the weddings essentials that you would see. So I don't think we're necessarily too far ahead or too far behind the curve.
Yeah. You're not in New York City where you have to be 10 steps ahead. So that's
Right,
cool.
right. And the music that I specialize in is maybe they don't sound like they go together, but I feel like I'm pretty good at like indie rock and maybe folk and a little bit psychedelic. And my wife really likes country, so over the course of being with her, I've really been up and coming a little bit before, but mostly because of her getting into country weddings as well. So those are the two ends of the spectrum that I do a lot of work with. And then of course the pop music is all throughout, right?
Yeah. So is she involved in any part of your weddings at all?
Yes. She helps me on the business side a little bit, suggesting things and making sure things are running efficiently. She has come to events in the past. She doesn't always come, and that's fine. I like it when she helps me set up, because that's a little weight off my back, literally, right? Because the
Right.
speakers and stuff are heavy. But yeah, she does help me, and I've certainly had a lot of people in my life that have influenced me and helped me and given me a lot of great advice. And if this one might be a personal recommendation for you as a music enthusiast, but there's a really good book that helped me when I was starting out to really understand DJ culture, and that was Groove Music by a professor. I forget his name, but he's a professor in North Carolina, and it just goes through DJ history and covers both the rise of hip hop and also the turntablism and DMC and some of those things. So it was really impactful in my first early years or so to really understand what I was trying to do.
Cool. Thanks for the recommendation. For those listening, we'll have a link down in the show notes as well. As you describe yourself as being calculated and as a scientist by trade and a golfer by hobby, how does that data-driven mindset influence the way you DJ weddings?
That's a good question. I think the calculated nature leads me to try to take some of the ambiguity out of weddings. It's an important ceremony. It's an important event. And so there's an era of mystery and of, for some people, spiritualism, right? But
Mhm.
I'm there to take some of the ambiguity out of what to play and how the day should go, because the more you can plan, the better the day can go for everybody involved, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing is planning is key. Again, I'm not a substitute for a full planner, but I can certainly help you make a timeline and make good decisions on your music.
I just wanted to say, I think you're exactly right that wedding pros forget that this might be our 100th wedding or 1,000th wedding. The couple's never been married before. They don't know what's
Right.
going on. And so having somebody there that has done it and to walk them through exactly what you're saying, that the calculated decisions of maybe this will work, maybe this won't work, helping them through that process, I think is so valuable.
Right. Right.
Music is part of your background for sure, being part of community orchestras. What did they teach you to carry into weddings that you DJ today?
Yeah, so I grew up like many kids playing in orchestras at school and trying all the groups I could at least once, right? So, and then I started playing in community orchestras, and then I played in a jazz band and a cover band, and then I took on DJing kind of last. So this is the most recent form of me performing. And I think what I've learned throughout is you learn a little bit about business, trying to find the shows. You learn a lot about working with others, playing in orchestras, and a lot about professionalism as well. A lot about how to dress and how to act, and how to approach mistakes or handle stress would be a good way to put it. And there's many ways you could learn these skills. It just so happened that I learned it through music. And as I said earlier, you also learn the value of hard work. So hard work in the planning and preparation, hard work to be standing or on display, in front of everyone, hard work to know how to play the instrument and what songs to play. So yeah, there's a lot that I learned. The earliest skill I learned actually, I think, is rhythm. So I grew up playing bass, but even before I was old enough to play or before my fingers were developed enough to handle the strings, my parents would be in the car and we'd be counting through the music. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So rhythm is key for me. You may notice it if I were to make a playlist for you, I'd focus on the beats and the rhythm a little more than the lyrics as well. So yeah, what did I say? I said focus and hard work and professionalism and just rhythm and discipline.
I love that. I don't think that we should downplay our past because even for me, I was part of junior achievement, which taught me business. And we have doctors in our family, and we say, doctors never take a business course,
Mm.
which is crazy to think. And I think that exactly what you're saying, it made you who you are today, and to focus on those things so that way you are a professional entertainer out there, not only running your business, but like I said, just being that professional entertainer. So every DJ has their own approach to keeping the dance floor alive. What are some of your strategies where you'll play those AC/DC song and it clears the dance floor? What are some of the tips you could give?
I think there was a time when not having a lot of people dancing would have bothered me. It doesn't bother me so much anymore because I know that they're going to come back, right? So that's key is I think just keep trying. And I know a lot of DJs will say that, but even if there's only 20 or 30 minutes out of your 2.5 hour set, it doesn't bother me anymore because I'm playing what the couple wants to hear, and I can still take requests if someone does want to dance. So you just have to keep trying. And if it's not a wedding that you feel went as good as it could have, you can just learn, and there's always another chance next time, right?
Absolutely.
So the other thing I still struggle with this sometimes, but I've had events where I go too hard. So if we're running behind schedule and we only get an hour and a half, or it's a little shorter and they have a long list to get through, I might go just too hard. There might be not enough slow songs. Maybe some people that were hoping for a married couples dance or something like that. We only get 1 or 2 songs. So, if they're drenched in sweat at the end of the night, maybe maybe I did a little too much.
I don't know. Some DJs could say, you did awesome. It was an awesome
Yeah.
party.
Yeah, it's I guess it's a give and take, but I have noticed, I've done both. I've done weddings where they're just not a dancing crowd and you're really just playing what they want to hear and you can kind of see them mingling and enjoying the music. And then I've done ones where it's the dance floor all night long, and then that's when I think, well, maybe I should have slowed it down at least once.
You're the scientist in this conversation. It's interesting because a lot of the younger generation, their lives were online. They didn't have a lot of in real life socializing. And so what we're finding the trend is there's not a lot of dancing at some weddings. Like you're saying, it's a lot of vibe because they're not around people all the time. I'm not saying this is all people, all wedding couples, but that's definitely becoming a trend. So since DJing isn't your full-time career, how do you stay fresh and relevant?
Yeah, you just study, right? So There's a lot of good influencers out there, a lot of good YouTubers, a lot of good podcasts. So you just study. A little bit of progress in a skill that you want to learn is still progress, right? So sometimes I don't have a ton of time for it, and sometimes I do. So you just keep moving, just keep studying, and it's easy to bookmark things nowadays. So it's also important to go back and revisit things and just keep learning and staying fresh.
So, for couples currently planning their weddings, what's one piece of advice you would give to every couple?
This is a good question. I was really struggling to find a good answer for this one, but I think the answer that I came up with would be there's more moments to think about than you may realize. Right away, you're probably going to guess dancing, cocktail, and dinner, right? But what about the song for the wedding party at the ceremony? Or how many people are you going to usher down the aisle? Do you want a song for each person or just one song? Are you going to do your family dance and a first dance? Are you going to do just the parent dances? I know bouquet is going down in the trends, but if you're doing a bouquet, who do you want to catch it? There's a lot of moments that sometimes people don't really realize until the planning meeting. So just find a really good planning resource like Matt's and take a moment to think about, if not the song or if not the artist, at least the vibe that you're looking for. And if a DJ sends you back ideas, don't be afraid to go back and forth a few times before it's just right.
I love that. Thank you for that. Because we're in the age of AI, are you seeing more and more couples wanting to make edits to their songs or create custom songs?
I think I did do a few more custom edits this year or the last couple of years than I had in the past, certainly. So I think it's a skill. You have to at least be able to do it. I'm certainly not the best at it, but I can put together. It's mostly for walk-ups that I've been doing it or entrances. To answer your question, yes, I do see that increasing, and Spotify just put out their mix feature as well. So looking forward to digging into that and seeing how that can evolve in the future as well.
I was on a DJ board where they were talking about creating their own custom song for the school event and then mixing in the name of the school into the song. It's crazy where we're headed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm the best at skills like that, but if you do need to reach out to a producer or someone that specializes in that, that's okay with me. You'd have to ask your DJ if they want to handle it or not, but there's always another wedding vendor out there that can get you something you're looking for, right? So there's no shortage of ways you can mix songs and get the content or get the moment you're looking for.
Sure. Well, I really appreciate you being on the show today, Ian. Is there something we missed that you wanted to share?
I think just in general, I want to say thanks to everyone that's influenced me. I try to learn from my past, and I've had a lot of great people, and I give thanks to God as well for just giving me a plan on His path. So, my wife, my family, my friends, my teachers, I'm just thankful for the person they've made me into, and it's been a pleasure to speak with you today. This is really great. Like I said, I like your resources. I like your podcast, so I was really honored when you asked me to come on.
Everybody has some knowledge to share. So like I said, I really appreciate you being on the show. If people want to reach out to you and hire you, where can listeners connect with you?
Yeah, so I do a fair amount of business on Zola, so I can send you the Zola link. I also keep my Spotify up to date with both general playlists for certain moments of your event, but also yearly samples of things that were played at my actual events. So you can keep up to date there. I also have a YouTube channel where I try to post videos and behind the scenes and stuff like that.
Awesome. And I'll be sharing those all in the show notes as well. Well, thanks, Ian, for being on the show today. I really appreciate it. Stay tuned for next week for another episode of the Wedding Songs Podcast. Thanks for listening and have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Wedding Songs Podcast. Never miss a future episode. Subscribe today to our podcast. Follow us on Facebook at My Wedding Songs and send us a message about playlists you would like covered.